Making a pillowcase is pretty easy. We call this a magic pillowcase because it goes together so quickly. It needs only 3 pieces of fabric. There are no exposed seams, and it only takes you about 10 minutes to put together. So these are the things that you need. The base of your pillowcase, you'll need about 3/4 of a yard of fabric. That would be a piece that is 27 by 42 inches. This piece happens to be 30 by 42, so the pillowcase is going to be a little bit longer. You need a piece for your decorative band, and that piece ends up being 9 inches by the width of the fabric, 42 inches. And then you need a decorative strip, and that's 1.5 inches by the 42 inches. You take the decorative strip and you fold it in half and press it. You have to layer these, pin them, and sew them, and it's so quick. So you take your decorative band and you lay it down with the right side up. Then you take your fabric and you lay it down on the 42-inch side along with the band, also right side up. Then you lay your decorative strip down, and that's going to be with the raw edges along the raw edge of the 42-inch side. And you match all these raw edges, and then we put some pins in it to hold it in place. So I've put my pins in to hold the three pieces of fabric together. And now comes the magic part, making the seam inside not visible. I take my pillowcase fabric, the big piece, and I kind of fold it or roll it up to make it small, like that. And then I take my band fabric and I fold it up to where the pins are, and I'm going to sew my seam including that piece of fabric. So I'm kind of going to repin along here and make sure that all my raw edges are even. And this kind of makes a tube. And when I'm done sewing it, I'll turn it right side out and it will be almost finished. So here we are at the machine. I'm going to take my tube of fabric. You can see it's all nicely rolled up in there. And I'm going to just stitch with a 1/4 inch seam. If it's not exactly a 1/4 inch, it doesn't really matter. It's just a pillowcase. And as I go, I'm just going to fix these edges to make sure that they're all matched up with each other as close as I possibly can. Here we are. Now all we have to do is turn it right side out. So I kind of just reach in here and start grabbing for that fabric that is the casing, and I start pulling on it. And eventually the whole thing will start turning inside out like this. And you'll be able to pull it all out of there. Just have to keep working it. There's the way the cuff on the end looks. So now, instead of putting it right sides together like you would anything else you're sewing, we're going to do a French seam. And you notice on the inside of the pillowcase you don't see the blue trim, and you want to see that on the outside. We are going to put the casing, the whole pillowcase, wrong side together. So I just sewed with the wrong sides together. Now I'm going to turn the pillowcase wrong side out and sew those same 2 seams again. And what will happen is I'll enclose those raw edges in the seam. So I want to make sure I do a generous 1/4 inch seam. I don't want anything sticking out after I'm finished. So now that I have it wrong side out, I want to make sure that I have that seam totally opened flat, and then when I pin it or when I sew it, I want to make sure that I catch. You can feel inside, you can feel where the edge of the fabric from the seam goes, so that if you sew, you'll see that it's going to enclose that seam in there when I make another seam. So I'm going to do a little bit of a generous 1/4 inch seam all the way around these 2 edges again. So when I was sewing the seam the first time, I made sure the edge of my fabric was in a little bit, so it was not at the edge of the foot. Now I'm going to make sure that it's a little bit past the edge of my foot, and in that way I'm guaranteed that the seam will be enclosed nicely. You also have to make sure that you've got it opened out all the way. You don't want it folded over at all, so you got to kind of play with it and make sure the whole thing is out and flat. So there's my seam. You can see there's no raw edges. This is the inside of the pillowcase. And now I'm going to open it out, and the pillowcase is done. So there they are, 2 of my pillowcases. They match the curtains that are in that room. The possibilities are endless. You can pick out kids' fabric and do them for your kids' rooms. You can pick out home decor fabric that matches whatever it is that you've got in that room. But they're quick to do, and I think a kid could even do them if they're learning how to sew. If you have queen-size pillow, follow the chart on the screen, and that'll tell you how much to buy for what size pillows you have. So there's my magic pillowcases. Have fun.